Hi everyone. Today I'm excited to talk about a place that's very near and dear to my heart, the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I embarked upon my journey here as a freshman in August of 2019 and graduated this past May with a bachelor's degree in computer science, data science, and economics. These 4 years have been incredibly transformative for me, and I'll be eternally grateful for the friendships and memories I've had the privilege of cultivating there. The craziest part is that a lot of my friends are currently in the Bay Area with me right now, and I know for a fact that I wouldn't have met them if it weren't for college. As seniors in high school are probably pulling their hairs out about which colleges to apply to, I wanted to share my experience at the university and hopefully put the institution on your radar if it already wasn't. The deadline for fall early action, which is non binding, is November 1st, and regular decision is January 16th. I still remember my college decision process, which came down to either UW-Madison or the University of California, Berkeley. I was extremely stressed about which one to choose. I lost several nights of sleep over this, as a matter of fact. I wanted the prestige of Berkeley, but its cost was just too prohibitive. After talking to some of my high school teachers and crunching the numbers, I obviously ended up going with the former option. 5 years later, I can confidently proclaim that I had made the right decision. I truly do believe that when looking at public research based institutions with large student body populations, universities like Madison or Berkeley are probably more similar than you'd think. Ultimately, it's not the name of the school on your resume that makes you stand out, it's how you make the most of your time at that school. Everyone's college application journey is different, and what was the right decision for me may not be so for you. However, one thing that can never hurt is more information, which is exactly the point of this video. But first, a quick note that I believe all seniors in high school need to hear. The college admissions process does not determine your intelligence and should not impact your self worth. I really wish someone had told me that as a senior because that would have saved me a lot of anguish during that period of my life. There are simply too many factors that aren't in your control throughout this entire process. Today, I wanted to discuss these aspects of Madison to hopefully paint a well rounded picture of my 4 years there. Let's start off with talking about perhaps one of Madison's most defining characteristics, the beauty of its campus, especially if you enjoy nature. The campus is sandwiched between two lakes, Lake Mendota and Lake Monona. One of my favorite places on campus was the Terrace by Memorial Union. It was the perfect place to grab lunch with some buddies and catch up while sitting next to the lake basking under the sun. Another favorite place of mine was Picnic Point, a little peninsula jutting into Lake Mendota. The walk there is through a beautiful nature reserve, and the view at the end truly lets you be immersed into the serenity of the lake. The vibrant State Street is the artery of our social life on campus. No matter what your tastes are regarding food or otherwise, you'll definitely find restaurants and shops that you'll feel were meant for you. The state capitol is also gorgeous at nighttime, and the bar scene is also popping if you're interested in that. The dorms on campus are a great way to meet new people if you're a freshman. The dorms are divided into two neighborhoods, Southeast and Lakeshore. Southeast dorms are more centrally located, allowing easy access to the majority of buildings on campus, whereas Lakeshore is a little more isolated, the ramifications of which you'll definitely feel during the winter as you're required to bus to your classes. The culture between the two neighborhoods of dorms also differ. Southeast has a more lively social atmosphere with more people always being down to party, whereas Lakeshore tends to attract more quieter people. Additionally, Lakeshore, as the name suggests, is next to the lake, encouraging residents to go out and walk along the lakeside a little more often. Another favorite part of campus for me was the two massive gyms, the Nicholas Recreation Center, also known as the NIC, and the Baki Recreation and Wellbeing Center, simply referred to as the Baki. The Nick opened during my sophomore year in college, and its novelty, along with its central location on campus, made it really easy and enjoyable for me to start working out while staying consistent. I really respect Madison's emphasis on Badgers' physical well being, and this value permeates into its athletic accolades, which we'll touch upon in just a sec. Finally, the libraries are well optimized to help students study, learn, and collaborate. There's like seven or so on campus. College library is the one that's open 24/7. I have too many late night memories working on projects there with my group. Also, crazy fact, you can actually check out VR headsets from College Library. I did that once and plugged into my gaming PC in my dorm, and my friends and I had a really fun time with it. A quick note about the city of Madison as a whole. Madison is definitely a college town, so there's not really that much to do outside of campus, in my opinion. However, this shouldn't be a deal breaker to anyone because of the vibrancy of campus itself. Just another thing I wanted to share. Now, let's move on to the culture of UW Madison. The two biggest pillars that make Madison stand out from other universities are its sports and partying. Madison loves its sports, which is a given because it's a Big Ten university. In fact, Madison alumni have collectively won 50 Olympic medals, with 13 of them being gold. Madison takes its athletes very seriously, with football perhaps being the largest spectacle on campus. If you're a huge football or sports fanatic in general, definitely consider Madison. During game days, you'll only see waves of red and white. But even if you're not necessarily into sports like me, I still encourage you to go to at least one home football game. The energy in the stadium is actually invigorating, especially during jump around. Like you feel a sense of elation that you simply will not feel anywhere else. The other part of Madison's culture is partying. Badgers definitely know how to party. We obviously have the typical frat and apartment parties, but we also have other signature parties throughout the year. For Halloween, we have Freak Fest, which is like a giant campus wide Halloween party. My freshman year, we had Little Yachty come and perform. It's sadly been canceled for the past several years with concerns for COVID and safety, but hopefully there will be other events to compensate for it. During the winters, as the lake freezes over, you'll see badgers socializing and darting on the ice. And in the spring is the infamous Mifflin Street Party. While I don't endorse any unsafe or unlawful activities that might occur at these events, I mention them to highlight the vibrant party culture available for those who wish to partake. The culture is defined by the people that contribute to it. So now let's chat about that. You'll meet students from all around the world, which really acts as a testament to Madison's presence on the international stage. Unfortunately, some issues have been brought up with the lack of racial diversity on campus, but I know the university is actively making efforts to ameliorate this issue. As an Indian, I can only speak for my community on campus, which is really active and vibrant. We have an Indian Student Association, and they'll host culturally themed events throughout the year. In fact, every year we have an event called BVB, which stands for Bollywood versus Bhangra. Essentially, ISA rents out a club for the night and plays Indian music, and everyone just jams out. It's quite rare for American clubs to play Indian music, so it's perfect for fans of Bollywood like me. And this year, one of my good college friends is DJing, so definitely don't miss out on that. We also have Adekhe Zara, or ADZ, which is the DDN competition that happens every year. Again, another fun time. Given Madison's large student population, it's over 50,000 this year. You'll definitely find your group of people that you click with, even if you're not into sports or partying. This is perhaps another one of Madison's strengths. You'll meet people from all walks of life, and like I mentioned previously, I'm still in touch with many of the friends I've met in college, and that's not changing anytime soon. Madison's large student body size lends itself to Madison's enormous alumni network. Badgers have proliferated every corner of the globe, making it incredibly easy to meet Badgers anywhere you go. So don't ever be afraid to reach out to a Badger alumni. Simply let them know you're from their alma mater and just watch how eager they are to help a fellow Badger. Now let's talk about classes. Probably the primary reason you're considering going to college. This is where a lot of my input will be limited to CS, the most popular major on campus. There is a good selection of classes to choose from. I think the great part of Madison is that there are your typical CS theory classes, along with more industry focused classes as well. For example, a really interesting class for me was this big data systems class, where we learned about the tools that companies use to manage all of their data, such as Docker, HDFS, Kafka, Spark, RPC calls, and much more. The crazy thing is, I actually use these technologies at work, so it's sick to have learned about them in advance. Also, if you're an undergrad, you're able to apply to take graduate level classes, which I can't recommend enough, especially if you see a class that interests you. Unfortunately, they don't count towards your major requirements for some reason. An amazing graduate level class I took was called High Performance Computing and Applications for Engineering. We essentially learned how to write highly parallelizable code for the graphics card. I'm not talking about shader programs, although I took a class for that as well, but programs with CUDA and OpenMP. We learned about the hardware architecture for graphics cards, the theory of some of these parallel algorithms, along with how to actually implement these concepts in code. Now, if some of those terms don't make sense, that's okay. I just want to emphasize the uniqueness of some of these classes, which delve into modern technologies and methodologies aligned very well with current industry practices, putting you a step ahead in the professional realm, starting at your first internship or job. If you want to see a deeper dive into all of the classes I took at UW-Madison, please let me know in the comments. I think it'd be a really fun video to make. There were two main problems with classes that I noticed. First were the class sizes, which have only increased since I had started. This is a result of CS being the most popular major on campus, combined with Madison accepting more and more students each year. For intro CS classes, you could be in lecture with up to 2 to 300 students. But those classes typically will have a large number of teaching assistants, along with weekly labs with much smaller groups, maybe about 30 students, to compensate. I personally don't believe that the large class sizes hindered my experience, given the TAs and weekly labs, but I do know that it's important to some. The second thing to note about the classes is how competitive some are to get into. Students with a higher number of credits get to register for classes first. This is so upperclassmen can get into the classes they need to graduate. I walked into college with several AP and CIS credits, and I think I took 5 credits through Madison the summer before my freshman year. I know that I'm a nerd, please don't judge me. And I personally never had an issue with getting a class I wanted. However, I know that some of my friends did struggle. I'm not saying that you need like 50 credits to get into the classes you want, but having some AP or CIS credits from high school will definitely help. Also, I'm not really talking about the classes you need to graduate on time. I'm talking more about elective classes. If there's a class you need for graduation, your counselor will help you get in, so don't worry about that. Madison is not known for purposefully delaying students' graduations. But the good news is that Madison is currently building the new School of Computer, Data, and Information Sciences, which will open its doors in 2025. This is to accommodate for the ever growing demand that CS and data science have on campus. I'm actually so jealous that it didn't open when I was a student there. But it means that any senior watching this video will get to enjoy the brand new shiny building. Now, let's talk about professors. I've had the privilege of taking classes from some of the brightest individuals in the world. Just ask a professor about what they're currently researching, and you'll definitely walk away having learned something new. The insights and knowledge I gained from them have been invaluable, and I continue to maintain a relationship with several of them, owing to the significant impact they've had on both my educational journey and personal life. However, it's worth noting that a small number of interactions with professors may not be as enriching. This scenario is not exclusive to UW-Madison. It's a common trait amongst highly research-driven institutions, where professors are mainly hired based on their previous research experience rather than their ability to actually teach. A potential pathway could be encouraging or offering opportunities for teaching faculty to engage in public speaking or educational training workshops. These workshops could allow professors to help each other gauge how receptive a group of students might be to explanations of certain topics taught in their class. They'd then be able to work together to distill more complicated topics in a more understandable manner. I know professors already have a lot on their plate, and I do have unconditional respect for them. But this is just one idea that could help both the students and the faculty in the long term. As such, I highly recommend utilizing Rate My Professor or asking upperclassmen for their recommendations before registering for any class. This will guide you towards the professors who truly prioritize their students and whose passion for teaching is evident. A lot of my favorite classes at Madison were the subjects that I initially found boring, but the professor was so captivating, I still remember the joy of being in their class. Research is something that I wasn't too heavily involved in during my time at Madison, but it's undeniably a hallmark of the university. It's always a moment of pride for me whenever I stumble upon citations of UW Madison. There are plenty of research opportunities on campus, even for undergrads. We have an undergraduate research scholars program specifically meant for getting freshmen and sophomores involved in research. All you need to do is take initiative and email professors you're interested in working with or apply to programs like URS. One cool research project I was involved in for a semester was in collaboration with NASA. We were working on creating realistic simulations of the moon to train NASA's rovers in virtually. We had to utilize cutting edge terrain deformation simulations along with realistic ray tracing to ensure the most accurate experience for the virtual rover's cameras and other sensors. It was very challenging, but it was a beautiful application of computer graphics, a passion of mine. If you want to pursue higher education after your undergrad, research is definitely something you'll want to consider, and Madison provides ample opportunities to pursue such endeavors. Outside of classes and research, clubs are another great way to immerse yourself in the large student body. There's literally almost 1,000 clubs on campus, and it's really easy to start your own too. The clubs I personally were a part of were the Software Development Club, which held workshops for various tech topics like machine learning, interview prep, and web development. The Federal Reserve Challenge, which had many speakers come in and share their research and expertise on various economic topics, and Coding for Good, where you're assigned a project requested by a professor or by a member of the Madison community. The idea is to use coding to help the people around you. I worked on a Python visualizer app to help new CS students understand their code better. I personally believe clubs should be tried out by all students, and then you should try to get a leadership position as soon as possible to maximize your involvement. I kind of got busy with other endeavors my senior year, so my club attendance tapered off then. There are a lot of other clubs, however, that aren't related to any single major. We have a sailing club, an autonomous vehicle club, a speech and debate club, various political clubs, and so many more. You'll definitely find one where you'll meet similar people to yourself. Now let's cover some of the student resources available, especially for potential CS majors. When it comes to our career services, the resume and interview prep is good if you're a freshman or sophomore. And if you're eyeing job opportunities right here in the Midwest post grad, the university has tight knit connections with local companies that have a direct hiring pipeline from Madison's campus. Moving on to career fairs, they're bustling with companies from Madison and the wider Midwest. I'll insert a link of all of the companies that have shown up over the past years below. It's a great way to see which areas of the country Madison tends to attract companies from. I definitely recommend going to the career fairs as a freshman, as it's good practice for sharing your elevator pitch and resume. In terms of big tech, we've had Google and Meta come to the career fairs. Roblox also has had multiple on campus events. A lot of other tech companies have Midwest specific recruiters who only look at the schools in this part of the country, boosting the chances of your resume shining through, rather than getting lost in a mountain of entries from the other competitive pockets of the country. But as you move up the ladder and crave for more nuanced resume or interview guidance, particularly if you've got your sights set on the Bay Area or other tech havens in the country, don't shy away from networking with upperclassmen or alumni who've made their mark in those terrains. Again, I can't emphasize enough the value of having Madison's vast alumni network at your fingertips. If you go to LinkedIn, filter by UW-Madison students or alumni, you'll probably find a Badger thriving at any company you've dreamt of interning or working with. Oh, and for those of you with a startup spark, the campus vibe will fuel your fire. There are these cool competitions throughout the year where you can pitch your brainchild and snag some pretty hefty prize money to propel your ideas further. And the startup centric clubs, they're buzzing with lively discussions on nailing the product market fit and other entrepreneurial jazz. One thing that I think that people don't discuss enough are the speakers that'll randomly come to Madison's campus and share their research or experience. These are a great way to network and learn from individuals that have redefined whole industries. One notable speaker from last fall was Pat Hanrahan, who is the billionaire founder of Pixar and is also a Madison alumni. Always keep an eye out on the TVs in the CS building or your inbox to ensure you don't miss the next great speaker, whether it's someone from OpenAI or Stanford or any other prestigious institution slash company across the world. Well, I know that we covered a lot today, and there's still so much more I could say about Madison. I mean, how do you condense the place that's been your home for the past 4 years into a YouTube video? I know that no matter where I go in my future, I'll always carry a piece of Madison and what it stands for. If I glazed over any topics that you guys would like some more context for, please feel free to ask in the comments down below. However, I really do hope that this video has encouraged you to at least apply to Madison. It's a wonderful university that truly helps you become the best version of yourself. But until next time, see you guys.